All right, today we're putting on our detective hats and diving deep into Wells Fargo stock. We're going to look for clues in the charts and the data to solve the mystery of its recent surge and, just maybe, figure out where it's headed next.
So let's get right into it. Our story kicks off with this number, $86.46. Now, this isn't just some random price. It's the final scene of a pretty wild 3-month ride for the stock. And that, of course, begs the big questions, right? How in the world did Wells Fargo's stock get all the way up here? And, maybe more importantly, what does the evidence tell us about where it could be headed from here? Well, the clues are all there, hidden in the technical data. And trust me, it tells a fascinating story, one about building momentum, validation, and some really clear hints about what the future might hold. You know, every good detective story starts with a timeline of events. To figure out what's happening now, we've got to look at what just happened. So let's rewind the clock a little and track this stock's journey over the last 3 months. And yeah, it was definitely not a straight shot to the moon. Back on July 18th, it was just hanging out around $80. Then, by early August, it takes a dip to nearly 77. But here's where the plot really thickens. October 14th. That's the day everything changed, with a massive one-day surge that just kept going, pushing it all the way up to that recent high of over $86. Now, for any chart detective out there, this is clue number 1. When you see a stock making new peaks and then its pullbacks don't fall as far each time, that's the classic pattern of higher highs and higher lows. It's textbook stuff for a strong uptrend. But hey, a good detective never relies on just one piece of evidence, right? A price chart can sometimes throw you a curveball. We need to find some corroborating evidence, so let's dig a little deeper and see if the rest of the story holds up. And in the world of stock analysis, there is no more important witness than volume. Volume tells us how many people are showing up to the party. A big price move without a lot of people? That can be suspicious. But a big move with a ton of volume? Now that's a real story. And would you look at that, on that key day, October 14th, a whopping 36.26 million shares changed hands. That's not just significant, it's huge. This wasn't a few people getting excited, this was a full-on stampede of buyers. And here's why that matters so much. This kind of volume points to what analysts call healthy accumulation. Think of it this way. Speculative buying is like day traders jumping in and out for a quick buck. It can be unstable. But healthy accumulation, that suggests the big players, the institutions, are buying in for the long haul. That's a much stronger foundation for a trend. And the clues just keep piling up. The stock is currently trading above all of its key moving averages, the short term, the medium term, and the long term ones. It's like every single compass needle is pointing in the same direction, north. That just screams uniform strength across the board. Okay, so we've got a clear trend. We've got the volume to back it up. Now it's time to pull out the magnifying glass and look at the forensic evidence, the more advanced technical signals. So this is something called the Arun indicator. All you really need to know is it measures how strong a trend is. And look at that Arun up line. It's at a perfect 100. What that means is the stock has literally just hit a new high for the period. The upward momentum isn't old news. It's happening right now. And the rest of our forensic toolkit? It's all telling the same story. First up, the MACD, a classic trend indicator. It's flashing bullish. Then you've got the RSI, which measures momentum. It's strong for sure. But, and this is key, it's not in that overbought danger zone yet. That suggests there could still be gas in the tank. And finally, the Bollinger Bands. They're expanding, which is kind of like a spring uncoiling. It signals growing energy behind this move. All right, so we've gathered all this evidence. The case is looking pretty strong. Now for the million-dollar question. Where do we go from here? Well, the technicals actually give us a pretty clear roadmap of the key levels to watch. And here they are. Think of these numbers as the floor and the ceiling of a room. The support levels, that's the floor. It's where buyers are expected to show up and prop the price up if it falls. And the resistance levels, that's the ceiling. It's the price where sellers might step in and say, nope, not going any higher. That immediate ceiling at 87.45, that's the one everyone is watching. So this sets up 3 possible scenarios for what could happen next. First, the bullish case. The stock smashes right through that ceiling and makes a run for 90. Then there's the neutral path. It just kind of chills out for a bit, trading sideways, catching its breath. And finally, the bearish case. And the data says this is less likely.
is that it hits that ceiling, gets rejected, and pulls back toward that deeper support level. So, after laying out all the clues, dusting for prints, and checking our sources, what's the final verdict from this investigation? Look, the case for this uptrend to continue is really, really strong. Let's recap. We have a confirmed uptrend, backed by huge volume, the price is stronger than all its key averages, and the other forensic indicators are positive. The evidence is pretty overwhelming.
But, and this is super important, no stock goes up in a straight line forever. The analysis is very clear that since we're bumping right up against that ceiling we talked about, a little pause, maybe even a small step back, would be completely normal. It wouldn't necessarily break the trend.
So it all comes down to this one single number, $87.45. That's the key level. How the stock acts right around that price is going to tell us everything we need to know about whether this powerful run has more legs. Which leaves us with the one big, lingering question, doesn't it? All the technicals are pointing up. The momentum is clearly there. But as it gets closer to that $88 ceiling, do the bulls have enough firepower to finally break through and start the next leg of this journey? The data has set the stage. Now we just have to watch what happens next.